Hello and welcome everyone. I'm Karen and with my co-host Selma from Radis. We want to welcome you to the Ultimate Health Summit. Today's interview, we're joined by Dr. Joel Kahn, a world-renowned cardiologist. On today's show, Dr. Kahn will talk about the causes of heart disease and how it can be prevented, give us some pointers on how to drop our heart attack risks by 86%, and how to actually turn on our longevity genes and be dancing at 120. But first you have to learn how to dance now. Right? Dr. Kahn is a plant-based cardiologist that has launched a campaign to prevent 1 million heart attacks through healthy living. He teaches early detection, prevention, and reversal of heart disease. He's the founder of the Kahn Center for Cardiac Longevity. He's a graduate summa cum laude of the University of Michigan School of Medicine and is a professor of medicine. His books, The Whole Heart Solution and Dead Execs Don't Get Bonuses, are both #1 bestsellers. He's co-owner of Green Space Cafe in Ferndale with his son. Welcome to the show, Dr. Kahn.
Thank you very much. I'm excited to join you all and share some hopefully great health tips to keep people healthy and maybe even around on the planet above ground longer.
Yes.
I mean, heart disease is a serious topic, so yeah, absolutely.
Okay, great. So, Dr. Kahn, you're known as America's holistic heart doctor, but you probably were originally trained to stop heart disease with, angioplasty and pills, but after 25 years as a cardiologist, your basic message now is pretty elementary. If you want to experience long-term wellness, then you must focus on implementing sustainable, long-term preventative protocols into your lifestyle. Does this start and end with diet and active lifestyle?
It starts and almost ends in terms of prevention. There's a few other steps that are necessary to maximize the chance. We'll talk 5 or 6 simple lifestyle steps that can drop anybody's risk of having a heart attack in the range of 85% lower.
That's quite incredible.
Which is amazing, but I don't go for 85% lower. I'm shooting in my prevention clinic in Detroit, Michigan for close to 100% lower. So you have to use technology and lifestyle. I call them what I do, high tech, high touch, high fiber. I want you eating fiber all day long. That's fruits and veggies. High tech because we're going to use the most sophisticated safe testing available to go from 85 to 100%. And we're using high touch because this is all about caring for people and doing the right thing.
So talk to us. What cardiovascular disease, what accounts for 33% of all deaths in the United States. And it really is the #1 killer. So what are the causes of heart disease and how really can it be prevented?
Yeah. So it's not so simple, but let's say the well-known answer is that in the, actually after President Eisenhower had a heart attack in 1955 and FDR died of high blood pressure related complications in the mid-1940s in the United States, our government in the United States got together and set up the National Institutes of Health. And one of the studies they launched was the Framingham study, a community outside of Boston that agreed that the 6,000 adults that were free of heart disease were going to get checked over and over and over to try and learn as much as possible. One of the efforts, not the only effort, to understand heart disease. Out of that, in the early 60s came the identification that heart attack can be predicted, not completely, but predicted by smoking, diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and a family history of a brother, sister, mother, father with an early heart attack or stroke. And if you had all of them, you're in bad shape. If you have none of them, you're in great shape in terms of predicting. Now, when I sit with one patient, I want to predict their risk of having a heart attack, stroke, or dying early. but I'm not just going to use a calculator of that type. I'm going to go beyond it. So that's the basic answer. Smoking, do you have diabetes? Do you have high blood pressure? Do you have a high cholesterol? Do you have a first-degree family relative? Now, in reality, there's many more causes, and I'm going to focus on mainly the number one killer of men and women in the Western world. We clog up our arteries, and we have a heart attack or a stroke from clogged arteries. In fact, I have a little model right here. That's a nice, I use this with all my patients, that's a nice clean artery, lets the blood through to the heart or the brain, or if you want to talk about male sexual health, the male organ, no problem. But you can clog up these arteries easily with french fries, burgers, or genetics, or lack of exercise or stress, and you won't get good blood flow. So in addition to the Framingham kind of data, which we still use all the time in research studies and to some degree in practice, there's many more factors. There are genetic factors. I run at least 5 genetic tests in every patient I see in my prevention clinic that has nothing to do with their diet or their exercise and everything to do with what parents they pick to have a sperm and an egg come together. Now, of course, we don't pick it, but it's the reality. There's harder and harder factors like pollution. Air pollution is now considered a serious factor in heart disease development. If you live closer to a freeway, you're more likely to have a heart attack than if you live further from a freeway because of the extra pollution.
I'm so glad we live on a golf course.
Absolutely. Well, in golf course now, you have to worry about pesticides and herbicides used on the lawn. So it's actually been shown that people that cut the lawn are, in golf pros even, from walking on the grass, they're absorbing, pesticides used on the lawn. So there's you can run, but you can't hide. Plastic bottles, mercury and lipstick from China. It's everywhere. And so that the complexity of the formula, I think, is greater than it was in the 50s and 60s. And we've done most of it to ourselves. We've introduced 80,000 new chemicals. We microwave in plastic containers. We drink water bottles in our car from plastic that have been sitting in the 95-degree sun. We don't sleep anymore because we're playing on our phone and, all kinds of stuff. So it's the whole combination, which is why it takes me a little while to go through with people. What I've been doing all day today, what's your risk and all. And we can use some high tech to be really accurate too.
Wow.
So, Dr. Kahn, you made I've read a statement that you've made here, and it said, if you have a heart attack over age 80, it's the will of God. If you have a heart attack under age 80, it's a medical failure. Could you kind of explain that a little bit more?
So I'm quoting. Now, I think there's a rule. Once you quote and give credit 3 times, you can take it over yourself. So I'm just about ready to take that quote over. But that actually was President Eisenhower's cardiologist, Dr. Paul Dudley White, who said that in 1955 with unbelievable vision. At a time there was very little known about why we have heart attacks, but he realized that attention to lifestyle and diet and testing would identify people early in life so that we could try and educate and treat them and all. And I do believe that. I think it's much more powerful, I quote now, than it was in the 1950s. That when you read about, we got to pick celebrities. Nobody knows yet what Carrie Fisher died of. I kind of track these things and look for it. I don't know that her autopsy's been released. But you take from The Sopranos, James Gandolfini.
Oh, I heard, yeah.
And he drops dead of a heart attack in a hotel at age 51 or 52 in Rome. If he had seen a doctor, me or others, a month before, 6 months before, 2 years before, every time we could have told him, James, you're clogging up and your diet and weight is an issue and let's put in a program. So it's very true that with today's technology, which will be better tomorrow, better in 5 years, we can predict in almost everybody. Now, is everybody going to adopt the healthier lifestyle, the serious effort to lose weight, the vitamins and such that it might take to get those results? Not everybody, but if they're willing to do it, I routinely see in my clinic the reversal of plaque, which is wild. They come to me clogged and I'm working with them hard to get them less clogged. But it happens and it works.
What about somebody, like we have a family friend, he's had the quadruple bypass, he's got stents, he's got a pacemaker, he's got all this kind of stuff. He never smoked, he always ate healthy, the whole 9 yards, didn't have a family history, but he was all, I think, very stressed.
Yeah.
Would it be too late to turn it around for someone like that? Who's in
Well,
it?
that kind of patient, common, prompts two answers. Number one, it can stress alone cause that kind of disease. Stress because you reach for a cigarette, stress because you reach for a donut, not an apple, stress because you never slept and your hormones were out of balance. Maybe. I mean, stress is affecting your lifestyle, so you're skipping going to the gym, not getting medical checkups because you're just stressed. Maybe. I would want to do that man's blood work, or woman. I don't know if you said it was a he, because I would probably guarantee him the cost of a visit to my clinic, that I'm going to find why that happened. It's probably a biochemical test he's never had, because we're better at that than we used to be.
Right.
And until you know that, you can't really counsel people on
Right.
both their children. Are their children at risk if it's a genetic abnormality? So 80 to 90% of heart disease is lifestyle. But that last 10% that's genetic is measurable and very powerful. The example that has buzzed around in 2017, The Biggest Loser show, Jillian Michaels, Bob Harper. So Bob Harper has a heart attack in February of this year at age 51. How can that happen? The guy's ripped. So I've written a couple blogs about that topic. How can Bob Harper have a heart attack? And I said he needs these tests done. Well, sure enough, not, although he did read my article because he retweeted it on Twitter, but he did announce on the Oz show a few weeks after his heart attack, he found out he had a genetic abnormality in his blood. Anybody can get checked for $20. It's called lipoprotein A, LIPO protein A. It's also sometimes called LPA, just 3 letters. And you ask your doctor and you find out if your parents gave you a gift. It's a cholesterol, but it's not on any routine cholesterol panel. And Bob Harper found out, could have found out 20 years ago, could have found out, 6 weeks after almost a lethal heart attack. So that gentleman you mentioned that had the bypass, that's one of several tests I'd want to be checking on.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And the second part, is it too late? No. That's the highest risk person. The average person listening to this conversation might have silent heart disease they don't know about. And if they do, it's important, but they're probably not going to have a massive cardiac event in the next year or two. They got to worry a little longer out. The person you talked about is really at risk. I mean, I've taken care of hundreds and hundreds of people through bypass surgery, stents, pacemakers. And that person needs to learn who is Dr. Dean Ornish and what's the Ornish reversal program. Who is Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn of the Cleveland Clinic?
Right.
And what's the Esselstyn reversal program? That person cannot screw around with an occasional, burger here, French fry here, and, cheese whiz or Velveeta or something. That person needs to get diet, lifestyle, and maybe more under control, because, yes, you can reverse, not to a age 20 pristine status, and it'll make a difference. I'll just tell you, in the United States, if you've had a heart attack, a bypass, a stent, you have angina pain, and you want to get a cardiac program going to improve your odds, our government in the United States only pays for 2 programs. One's called the Pritikin program, named after an engineer, Nathan Pritikin, which there is a place in South Beach called the Pritikin Longevity Center. They're still teaching his approach to health and fitness. And one is called the Ornish program. They're both actually plant-based diets, very different than the standard American and Canadian diet. And it's just a reflection on, yes, our government will pay for a person to learn how to reverse cardiovascular disease, but it's going to take some serious hard work and changes.
Yeah.
So talk to us a little bit more about this plant-based diet. You're a vegan, right? Yeah. Didn't you get an award or something like that? Like, can you give us a pose? Wasn't it?
Yeah, I think every cow and sheep, every cow, sheep, chicken, and salmon in the world has given me an award, because I haven't had an animal product in 40 years. At age 18, I went to university in Ann Arbor, Michigan. First day, I adopted a vegetarian diet, so I've not had a hamburger since 1977. And I don't miss it. I mean, it's allowed me to stay quite healthy, energetic, and I don't need doctors because I've had every test I need to have done. I know I don't need it. I'm, whatever. But it doesn't matter if you start today is better than, not starting, even if you can't turn the clock back and start 40 years ago. But in those 40 years, the amount of medical science, plus the food industry responding so favorably, restaurant industry responding so favorably, and a change in the Canadian and American and Western health where there's so much more obesity, so much more diabetes, so much more dementia, which are all largely a product of our increased weight, diet, stress. So plant-based diets dominate the medical literature if you were to seriously study the issue. What diet has the best chance of maintaining my weight, avoiding adult diabetes, avoiding heart disease, controlling blood pressure and cholesterol? It has, 10 to 1 more data than almost any other topic. We can throw the Mediterranean diet in, which in its purest form, stop eating red meat except on holidays and, occasional celebrations, eat lots of fruits and vegetables and whole grains, substitute really clean fish for red meat, which nowadays is really hard to find, but it's possible. Drink red wine and enjoy family gatherings for social support and celebrations. And if you're going to use a fat to add to your food, don't let it be butter or lard or ghee. Use extra virgin olive oil from Giuseppe's garden down the road in, Naples, Italy, because that's really, the quality of their food was so much higher. Now we go to a grocery store and the olive oil's been sitting in a clear glass bottle for 3 years and it's probably totally degraded. But the Mediterranean diet has good data. But plant-based Mediterranean, end of story. Everything else is theory and without substance, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, and so again, you said about drinking alcohol. Let's go to that because I make my own red wine. So I think that's a good thing. But a lot of people would say, yeah, I don't know. So talk to me about the drink a day or life.
Yeah. Well, there is a huge body of data, including heart attack prevention data, that a drink a day for a woman, up to 2 a day for a man, and that's not just that often the body size is different. It's more about some differences in an enzyme in the liver that degrades alcohol. There seems to be more of it in males and females, so the alcoholic content is broken down quicker.
Oh.
But there's data in studies involving 100,000 people, 500,000 people, 1 million people that suggest there's an association with modest alcohol use and less cardiovascular disease and longer lifespan. Now, there's the trade-off of car accidents, there's the trade-off of cirrhosis, and recently more discussion about the trade-off of an increased risk of cancer, particularly breast cancer. And I wouldn't recommend, adding alcohol to your life if you don't drink now. But honestly, so the definition again is 1.5 ounces of liquor, 5 ounces of wine, or 8 to 10 ounces of beer is about all equivalent alcohol. If you can control it and have a few drinks a week, and particularly in a social setting where you're getting the benefits of laughter, friendship, camaraderie. Loneliness is terrible. Don't drink alone. Loneliness is a serious killer. Stress is a serious killer. But, if you're drinking to relieve stress, try and rearrange your life and go run in the park or take a walk in the woods would be a better option.
Right.
Well, there's a nursing home around our areas here where there's a sort of a protocol is that they have a glass of wine or a spirit or something like every evening that they give out to their clients.
I would imagine it's the nurses that implemented that. I mean, it's actually, it theoretically makes some sense. Now, there is some interesting new data about reversing early Alzheimer's with lifestyle. Okay. Certain vitamins like omega-3, a very plant-strong Mediterranean diet, emphasizing 7 hours of sleep, actually teaching these people yoga and meditation. I think they avoid alcohol in that program. They use a lot of turmeric. So again, alcohol can be toxic to the brain, and there's certain conditions. I mean, active breast cancer, Alzheimer's, I probably would definitely stay away. Of course, liver disease. Yeah. So that's a nice little touch they have going on here. Yeah, we need to have happy hour in my clinic.
There you go.
It's probably starting soon.
I will say, this is a shameless plug, and maybe it's in the show notes. I mean, I own a big restaurant in Detroit that's 100% plant-based and has a big bar. So I'm not disclosing a conflict. I mean, I don't encourage anybody to drink, but human nature is people have a meal. They often like a cocktail or a beer or a wine. And I wouldn't do it if it were clearly toxic. I mean, the food is the highest quality anywhere. Green Space Cafe, it's one of the very unusual, totally plant-based restaurants in America. But anyways, so I mean, that is true. I serve alcohol, and I recognize it's a bit of a mixed bag.
Okay, all right. So what kind of meals would you be serving? Like, give us a little bit of a menu rundown in your restaurant there, Dr. Kahn.
It's big, super healthy bowls full of, full of greens, full of edamame, full of brown rice or quinoa, walnuts, cranberries, pomegranates, and such. There's a lot of flatbreads, gluten-free or not. Pizza is like a great excuse for vegetables. So these are extremely, packed with healthy items. There's some really interesting dishes. Grilled cauliflower steak. Of course, we don't serve animal steak. But you can take like a half a head of cauliflower and prepare it and grill it. And, it's a very elegant restaurant. So everything's plated like some of the finest restaurants, in the
Gordon
world.
Ramsay.
We have great burgers, but they're lentil, quinoa, black bean, and such. So all kinds of really fun food. And then we have killer brunches, pancakes, chia seeds, oatmeal, and smoothies.
Do you have a cookbook?
Not yet. Restaurant's been open about 18 months, and that might be a
that sounds good. Yeah, like say with cauliflower. Yeah, I've heard so many things that you could do with that.
Cauliflower. There are a lot of people making pizza crust with cauliflower now as a dough alternative, whether you do gluten-free or 100% whole wheat. But, interesting approach.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh, I like that.
So are you like carbs, like you're talking, you serve flatbreads in your restaurant?
Yeah.
What's your general opinion on carbs and pastas? And things?
Right. So emphasize 100% whole. So it's a broader topic. There clearly are people that need to eat gluten-free because they have celiac disease.
Yeah.
And there are some others that appear to thrive better avoiding gluten, whether they have an autoimmune condition like psoriasis, whether they get various rashes, people will clearly relate, or perhaps they've had testing that actually confirms they have a gluten sensitivity without it being celiac disease. But that's best people's estimate, well under 10% of any population. Meaning more than 90% of people can eat 100% whole grain, sourced pasta, breads, 100% brown rice, and thrive on it. It's been part of the Mediterranean diet. I mean, imagine an Italian meal without bread on the table.
Oh,
You can't do it. Mamma mia, where's the bread?
Yeah, that's right. It's coming.
There's kind of an evil movie out there where a cardiologist from England takes the bread and shoves it off the table and adds in coconut oil. I'm sorry, that's not the Mediterranean diet. He's in Italy when he's doing it. That's not the Mediterranean diet. That's some paleo BS to sell movies. But no, I mean 100% whole, and study after study after study says 100% whole grain breads and pastas. Because what aren't you eating? You're not eating donuts. You're not eating processed muffins in the gas station. You're not eating, white bread where all the fiber's been ripped of it. You want the old world seedy breads that, you got to rip with your hands. And they're fine. In fact, they promote health. They lower diabetic risk, lower heart disease risk, lower cancer risk. We need more fiber, and 100% whole grain breads like that are very fiber rich.
Okay, we're good then. We're good. I just eat.
I was just in Germany for the weekend. I gave a lecture. It was crazy in and out. And the hotel breakfast Sunday morning was the only food I found. It was a very Schnitzelgruben rich meeting. So I didn't eat a lot during the day, but the next morning they had breakfast with these incredible thick brown breads, really rustic. Yeah. And I mean, I have no guilt over eating those. Those are great.
Yeah. It's all good. It's all good.
We got to talk about 85% chance of reducing heart attack, as you mentioned in the intro, and I do want to talk about it.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah,
I'll just say real quick, it's kind of reminiscent of that Framingham data. they told us what bad things we do that might lead to heart attacks. Some recent data in the last 5 years out of Europe say 6 things can lower our risk of heart attack, and they're inexpensive lifestyle things, by 85%. Number 1 is real obvious: don't smoke. And if you're smoking, go to Germany in the duty-free shop and see the cigarette boxes that say, this kills you, this makes you infertile, this, will cause you to lose your leg from amputation. I mean, I knew they were out there. I just haven't seen these graphic warning labels on the very product. Who's going to buy that product? Great. Don't smoke. Number 2, walk 30 minutes a day is kind of a good goal as a minimum. Take your lunch break, park the car farther away. If you can, do a 10-minute power walk. Recent data says that may be enough. So number 2 is why. Number 3 is get 7 hours sleep at night. Kind of a new one, but if you're getting by on 4 hours sleep, or you've got a sleep disorder like you're snoring and taking shingles off the roof, get it checked out. Get 7 hours sleep at night. Rearrange your lifestyle. Get the sleep. Go to bed earlier. Use magnesium or Epsom salt bath, or take melatonin. Get sleep. Number 4 is keep your waistline trim. The data from these studies were under 40 inches for a man, under 35 inches for a woman. Because the fat around the belly, it's called visceral fat, can be particularly inflammatory and lead to cardiovascular disease, diabetes, even dementia. There's something called the dinosaur syndrome. The bigger your waistline, the smaller your brain. And it's
Can you picture it?
Where's that tape? Where's that tape? I'm going to start measuring.
Multiple scientific studies that say your brain shrinks as your waistline expands. It's true. It's all that inflammation and blood sugar elevation. Number 5 is enjoy the alcoholic beverage every now and then. That's actually on the list from these studies. And number 6 is where we fail the most in Western society, which is more than 5 servings a day of fruits and vegetables. And there's some data from the American Heart Association that just barely 1% of Americans fit a healthy eating pattern of enough fruits and vegetables, 100% whole grains, and legumes, kind of that section. And maybe 3% of Americans, data I know, eat 5 or more servings of fruits and vegetables a day. So the number 1 thing you can do today to up your nutritional health: grab an apple, grab an orange, grab beans, grab green beans. It doesn't matter, but eat fiber-rich, colorful fruits and vegetables.
So what do you think trips people up the most in society? Because, this information is getting out there. As you said, you're finding it in more restaurants now, those choices.
Right.
And yet people are still saying, yeah, but I want that burger. I want that steak. I want,
there's habits and there's food addictions. What mama gave us still has an influence. At least in the United States, and I don't know if this is true, the government and our USDA has made certain food groups, meat, chicken, dairy, eggs, inexpensive by huge farming subsidies. And, that's been in place for 60, 70 years. And it's been calculated that McDonald's instantly would be 3 to 4 times more expensive if our government didn't prop up the inexpensive cost of their basic products. And how many families would take a family of 4 for $75 to McDonald's when they can do it now for $18? It wouldn't happen. So, that's one source, that it isn't more expensive to eat well. It's not as convenient when you're on the road. It's getting better. Taco Bell, God knows I'm not endorsing them. White Castle in the States now has a black bean burger and a veggie burger. These are the low end of pseudo-healthy food, but at least there's some options that don't involve cheese and meat, cheese and meat, cheese and meat, which is what our government in the United States promotes and makes inexpensive. It's a crazy system because who's paying the healthcare bill? The corporations and the government, and yet they're causing the disease that they then have to cycle around and pay for. It can't make sense. I don't know that there's anybody that powerful to overcome the pharmaceutical industry, the farming industry, the food industry, and try and set things right. It's almost impossible to imagine somebody that radical and powerful. And doesn't seem to be on President Trump's list because he's eating pretty crappy food by report. I wish we could get
ketchup and the steak.
Get him to, he's like Bill. We haven't gained a lot because that's how Bill Clinton was eating, of course, before his bypass, and he's doing.
Yes, that's right.
We need to get to President Trump. So that's the problem. And it's my pet peeve always is, God forbid you're in a hospital to visit a relative or for your own personal illness, or you work in a hospital. Lots of people work in a hospital. you should see the healthy food options. You should become, kind of a zealot. Oh my God, it worked. They have the most amazing food. I'm going to try it at home, and I'm going to tell my, neighbors about it. And I've seen
But they're bad.
employees of mine lose weight because they put in healthy cafeterias and vending machines, and they took out the bacon and the cheese and the barbecued chicken, because barbecuing is a whole other topic. But it's not happening in the hospitals, and we're losing a golden opportunity to not only take good care of patients with nutrition, but teach the nurses, teach the doctors, teach the residents, and make some progress there, unfortunately.
It's interesting. My dad was in the hospital for an extended period of time, and he found that if my mom brought baked goods to the nurses and doctors,
Donuts. That's
they
it.
got
Donuts.
better care.
Donuts are the barter of hospital care, although they are almost the perfect food to use as an example of immediate health bombs.
Yeah.
There actually is data that in Europe in the 60s and 70s, the single most adverse food item for health was pastries, like donuts. So it is not just humorous, it's horrible that the lobbies of hospitals and the cafeteria, and you're right, the bribe to get better care is not, it could be a fruit basket, but nobody's going to brighten up.
Yeah.
No, get that
greasy
donuts.
pizza.
No, you've got 20 people right there.
Yeah, so I'm not subtle about the fact. I'm a professor at a medical school in Detroit, and we have a university hospital, esteemed hospital. What's in the lobby? The first thing you see when you walk in, Wendy's burgers. We have a Wendy's in the lobby of a university hospital.
Well, we have, we have the Foothills Hospital in Calgary.
Yeah,
and,
famous. I know a cardiologist there. Merle, I don't remember his name. He's an awesome guy.
Yeah. Well, they got the Tim Hortons, they got all the donuts and all the pastries right in there.
Well, they do have a cafe called the Good Birds.
Go look up Merle Knudsen, cardiologist. Tell him Joel Kahn said, get those Tim Horton donuts out of
Okay, I'm going to do that. I'll do that. Then you see all these interns, right? They're right at the Tim Hortons there, get the donuts and everything else, and it's really something. So, okay, so you've given us all these kind of little bit, hints and smoking and not, 7 hours sleep. What about supplements or vitamins? Yeah.
So that's where we could, there's a few ways to get a real good fight going amongst medical people. One is, out the word, vegan's better than paleo. Oh my God, you'll see a fight going on.
Yeah.
And one is to say supplements are good for you, because you'll get such a strong reaction with one camp, totally unschooled, usually. All you're going to do is get expensive urine. And another school that says, there's actually science. So let me just open my drawer for a minute. Here it is. It's not a great demo. This is a capsule of coenzyme Q10.
Yeah.
A natural antioxidant that you make, although you make less from age 40 on, aging. You make a lot less if you're taking a statin like Lipitor or Zocor or atorvastatin, which millions of people are on in Canada and the United States.
Mm-hmm.
So there's 2 trials of relevance that we can agree on. One is if you have a very common condition called congestive heart failure, and you take 3 of these capsules a day, because this is exactly the brand that they use, or you get a placebo capsule, your risk of being in a hospital, being in an emergency room, or having a serious cardiovascular event, including death, goes down by 50%. It's called the Symbio Q trial. How can you say that all you get is expensive urine? You get inexpensive hospital bills, which is why it's not promoted. Go try in the United States to give your loved one with congestive heart failure a vitamin. The nurses will take it away and have it analyzed. And the other is there's a very interesting study from Northern Europe using CoQ10 and a complementary vitamin called selenium.
Yeah.
And those 2 together in people aged 70 or older, 70 years and older, healthy 70-year-olds that start to take CoQ10 and selenium or placebo, drop their risk of dying over the next 10 years by 40 to 50%. Just 2 examples where if you study the field, I'm doing promotional work right now. A cute little vitamin made in Fort Lauderdale. I'm not going to put the label up there.
I saw it.
But if you have a study of 400 people just published in February, 4-year follow-up, if you have a little plaque in your carotid artery and you take this inexpensive vitamin 1 a day, which is made of 2 herbs, vitamins. They're herbs that come from nature, but there's no other way to get them in this form. You have less carotid plaque at the end of 4 years than if you're on placebo. So there's really interesting vitamin data out there. Yes, we should get the bulk of our vitamins and our minerals from eating fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, 100% whole grains, legumes, but they're not as enriched in our produce as they used to be because magnesium comes from soil. Soil should be in the apple, where the roots of the apple tree are, and eating an apple should give you a lot of magnesium so you don't have migraines, and you don't have skip beats, and you don't have PMS, and your blood sugar's not elevated. Problem is apples have, in general, 80% less magnesium than they did 70, 80 years ago because the soil has been
Depleted.
raped over and over by bad farming practices for big industry. So, yes, I believe supplements, and I see it every day, people feeling better.
Okay.
Wow. We could probably talk a lot longer, but we do want to honor your time. We said we'd keep this to 40 minutes.
Cool.
Selma, do you have one more question?
Well, I just wanted to ask you about telomeres. We want to dance to we're 120 or
You
anything.
got to start dancing with the stars
Yeah,
now.
like what? Yeah.
Dance to Where 120 is a quote by Dr. Russell Jaffe. You know him?
No.
It's just
No,
funny.
I don't.
Your quote is interesting because it's a friend of mine who's very famous. Yeah, I will say if anybody really wants to study telomeres, this is not my book. It's a book by two people that won the Nobel Prize in Medicine, both females at UCSF, San Francisco. And they won it in 2009. The book's been out about 5-6 months. It's a fascinating book. But, telomeres are the tips of chromosomes that as we age get shorter, 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 and at some point the cell will die if they're too short. So you can't help the process, but there's data that lifestyle can slow down. The best data, because there's no known supplement, there's hints of it. It's more lifestyle. But Dr. Dean Ornish, who was the first physician to prove pretty definitively that you can actually reverse heart blockage with a lifestyle program, also studied the effect of eating fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, beans, walking, meditating, practicing yoga. And your telomeres got longer after 5 years, meaning you actually anti-age, whereas in the control group, telomeres got shorter, which means you're on your way out to the local funeral home to some degree. So the fact you can influence it with lifestyle is a powerful statement. I don't test telomeres on my patients. It's controversial. They're expensive, hundreds of dollars, and is one company better than the other? But once in a while, I might do it if somebody needs a real kick in the pants to adopt a healthy lifestyle. If you're 60 years old and your doctor tells you you're 80 inside, which I do routinely on various testing, blood vessel testing, people get fired up about coming back, eating better, getting better sleep. They don't like learning that they're turning old faster than their allotted time.
Mm-hmm.
Of course not. Of course not. Wow. Amazing information you're sharing.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, very
And
much
you're
so.
very
So,
funny.
yeah. Well, we're going to have to start dancing here. We want to get to that age. Telomeres, everything
Yeah,
else.
that's right. Yeah, Dr. Russell Jaffe is a very interesting MD, PhD with many YouTubes people can watch on health. But his statement is, I just want to be alive and dancing at age 120, and I want to be doing it with you. It's no fun to be doing it.
Oh, nice.
Nice kind of way to summarize why it might be worth taking better care of this one and only body you've got.
The only body.
Right.
So Dr. Kahn, like our series is Ultimate Health, Live Life Well. What does that mean to you? And what are some of the daily habits that you have to incorporate those words?
Well, there is just a quick little summary on that. There's a word lifespan, and we all know that in general the lifespan has increased over 50 years ago, although in the United States it's actually starting to go down a little bit, very concerning. But there's a more important term called health span, which it gets the idea of dancing to 120 and dancing with you, which is you don't want to spend those last 10, 20 years in a nursing home without your memory, unable to walk, hip replacements. And it takes effort. Some people will smoke and eat bacon and get to 105 with their memory, but you wouldn't put the odds on that occasional headliner that you read about. So, what is living well? Living well is, waking up in the morning and feeling good and not reaching for 10 bottles of medicine that you might be able to avoid and the side effects and the interactions by taking better care. Having the energy to do what you want and doing what you love, and going to bed at night, sleeping soundly, and doing it again. I mean, it's not normal to have to take as many medications and feel as lousy as so many people do. And if they'll understand, no matter where they are in life, age 80, age 60, age 40, 12 medicines, whatever, many, the bulk of all these conditions, which we call names like heartburn and migraines and heart disease, will respond to an upgrade in your nutrition first. Then we can add other lifestyle measures in soon after.
Perfect.
And for people that want to know a little bit more, Dr. Kahn is offering a book. We'll have the link below the video here if you would like to, if you're interested.
Sure. Yeah, on our favorite shopping place in the world, Amazon, it's pretty easy to find.
Your whole heart.
This is my first book, but it just came out in paperback. It's still very relevant. It's a lifestyle program. It's very comprehensive. It actually doesn't have recipes. It talks about why you might want to eat healthier, and that might motivate you to read others. I've got 2 other books out, 3 more coming out in the next year and a half. One is coming out in 2 weeks called Vegan Sex. Dump your pills, jump in bed. Kind of an interesting little book with sexy recipes and all. If we can't get them for heart disease. So this book's available, on the web. That's a little more lighthearted book, but it's a fun book. The cover alone should get people to be interested in opening up. Something to do with bananas and grapes.
Cucumbers.
Erotic.
Well, you have to bring that sexuality into it, right?
Yeah, but my lifestyle is trying to get 7 hours sleep at night, occasionally 8. Every day I try. I do use things before bed. I'll take some magnesium before bed. I might take an herb like ashwagandha or theanine. I use nature to hack my sleep, as we say.
Yeah.
I will generally have a smoothie in the morning with 3, 4, 5 servings of fresh fruits, vegetables, flaxseed, chia seeds, nuts, never dairy, water, almond milk, soy milk, organic soy milk. I practice, and then I'll eat salads and beans and casseroles. Of course, I have a restaurant to eat at most nights. I'm very into fasting for longevity. I would encourage people to read about a fasting program developed by the leading anti-aging expert in the world. His name is Dr. Longo. He's in Los Angeles, although he's from Italy originally, but he's been in Los Angeles a long time. And he has a fasting program. You actually buy the box, and you just eat what's in the box for 5 days.
Which is nothing?
Organic plant-based food. It's interesting. Why would you buy food if you're fasting? Well, he's found out if you construct the ingredients, it's 800 to 1,000 calories. So it's a third of what a lot of people eat every day. So it is a little bit of a hunger program. But you are eating 3 meals a day. It's all in the box. It's called Prolon, for prolonged longevity, Prolon. And the results, I only mention because it's science, and I don't own the company. It's amazing what it's doing for inflammation, blood sugar, cholesterol, waistline. I'm down 18 pounds in 3 months and 1 week because I think this is the most fascinating program. Tasty stuff. And you do it 5 days a month, and then you eat healthy. So I've been using this with my patients lately because, they hit a wall and they can't lose weight and they're frustrated. And I just had a woman I saw today in the office that came back and spent $30,000 at a very, very prestigious medically supervised weight program. And I showed her this because this is, a couple $100 now.
Yeah.
And, she could eat this way for the next 20 years to equal. And anyways, it just has been released. It is available in Canada. So people can visit the website.
Okay.
ProlonFMD.com, if I remember.
ProlonFMD.
PROLONFMD. That stands for Fasting Mimicking Diet.com.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that.
Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah. Well,
we really want to thank you for your time, Dr.
Oh, we were just so excited. You're just wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah. I will say I'm at a standing desk, so that's another part of my lifestyle. I get up off my feet as much as I can. When patients are here, I'm sitting. When I'm talking or working, I'm always off my feet, moving around. Yeah. There's data from Britain that women age 55 that answered a questionnaire 20 years ago, if they fidget, if they bounce around, get up to the water fountain, they bounce their leg, the women that answered yes had far less heart disease 20 years later than women that said that I'm pretty much a non-moving kind of human. You want to move the human body.
Well, there you go.
Sign out from my standing desk, and that's why I'm kind of bouncing around all the time. I took all that. I used to get slapped by my teachers for having ants in my pants, and now
Well, I'm a fidgeter too, so there you go. We have that in common. You're wonderful.
Thank you
Thank
very
you
much.
so much for taking the time to be with us. Namaste.
Thank you.
Yes. And big hugs to everyone that joined this episode of the Ultimate Health Summit. Until next time, live life well.
Bye, everybody.